Now let's discuss a difference between males and females. In males, what's being represented on this slide is fundamentally what happens. We have a single cell, a primary spermatocyte that divides. When the nucleus divides, the cytoplasm divides, and we end up with two cells, two secondary spermatocytes. And then when those secondary spermatocytes divide, the nucleus divides and the cytoplasm divides, and therefore we end up with 4 sperm or spermatozoa. That's what happens in males. In females, it's different. In females, we start off with the primary oocyte. When the nucleus divides, we end up with 2 nuclei in the 2 cells, and those are going to be the secondary oocytes. But importantly, so here we are with the nuclei of those secondary oocytes. But what happens in females is that when the cytoplasm divides, instead of the cytoplasm dividing equally between the 2 cells, almost all of the cytoplasm stays with one of the cells, and very little cytoplasm stays in the other cells. So we have a nucleus with very little cytoplasm around it. The cell that has the cytoplasm is called the secondary oocyte. The cell with very little cytoplasm is called the polar body. The polar body is going to die. So because this polar body is going to die, that means those cells that would have been derived from it will not be there. So not only will this disappear, all of this will disappear from this diagram like that. So now we have just the one secondary oocyte. That cell will divide. Again, the nucleus divides as we described before. When the cytoplasm divides, again it divides unequally. Most of the cytoplasm staying with one of the cells, very little cytoplasm staying with the other cell. That cell with very little cytoplasm is again called a polar body. We call it a second polar body, and it dies like that. So that leaves us with just one cell surviving, and that cell is the ovum. So this process in the male is one in which a single primary spermatocyte results in 4 sperm, but in females, a single primary oocyte results in only 1 ovum. So that's a significant difference. Lastly, the other significant difference has to do with the timing of when this occurs. In the male, the process that we just described of meiosis does not begin until puberty. In other words, in the testis of a male, all of the presumptive gametes that are in that testis before puberty are spermatogonia, and they are dividing mitotically, simply producing more of themselves, more and more spermatogonia. But there is no gametogenesis going on. There is no meiotic activity. After puberty, the process that we just described begins, and we start going through the first and second meiotic divisions, and that process continues on continuously, day and night, 24 hours a day, for the remainder of the man's life. So from puberty until death, we have spermatogenesis occurring, but before puberty, there is no spermatogenesis.